Hello everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday live. Welcome. I can already see a good number of our Tuesday live regulars in the comment section. So if you're just joining us, hi Jenny, welcome to this session. Hi Amaka, welcome. Hi Samuel, welcome. If you're just joining us, please let us know where you are watching this week's Tuesday live from. My name is Precious and I am privileged to be your anchor for this afternoon. Welcome, everyone. Apologies for the slight delay. Welcome on board, everyone. Good afternoon. Let us know where you were coming from and where you were joining this session from. Hi, Dr. Happiness. Welcome on board. So let us know where you were joining from. Evelyn is watching from Kanu. Chine is watching from Anambra. Let us use the next couple of minutes to share this link. This session promises to be fantastic. It promises to answer the question, how can I help, or rather, how can I motivate my child? Hi, Coach Mary Beth. Welcome on board. Hi, Uche Okoli from Ibadan. Welcome to this session. Hi, Augusta from the UK. Hi, Ada from Anambra. Hi, from Okigwe, Imo State. Hi. Welcome. Now, before we delve into this conversation, I need you to do one thing. Copy the link of this session and share with someone. Trust me, they will thank you after this session. So once you've shared in the WhatsApp groups that you belong, if you are in the yard, in any of the cohorts, once you've shared, type in the comment section and say, I have shared. I have shared. Today, our Mabel coach is unavoidably absent. Want to say a huge thank you to her for this opportunity. Thank you, coach, for the opportunity to handle this session on help. My child is unmotivated towards learning. Hi, Chioma. Hi, Debbie from Texas. I want to see everyone who has shared the link to this session on their WhatsApp. Thank you, Dr. Happiness. Dr. Happiness has shared. If you've shared, Uche has shared. If you've shared the link to the session, let us see it in the comment section. Now, if you were here in the last Tuesday live, let me see your fire emojis in the comment section. If you were here in that amazing session that answered the questions of tons of parents, I don't know about you, but that session spoke to me. As an educator, it gives me lots of perspective. If you were in that session, let me see you in the comment section. Jenny has shared. Dr. Happiness is giving the fire emojis. That session was amazing. Now, down to today's session. Today we'll be looking at help. My child is unmotivated towards learning. I assume you can all hear me loud and clear, so we're good to go. The title of today's session is Help. My child is unmotivated towards learning. Thank you, Mercy. Mercy has shared. Who else has shared? Let me see that quickly. Abimbola has shared. Abimbola rather has shared. Thank you so much. If you're joining us, please click on the share button, copy the link, and share with someone. Trust me, it would be a beautiful Tuesday afternoon gift to them. So, in the copy for this post, the copy read that in a study conducted by Stanford University, researchers found that students who were intrinsically motivated, meaning, now, the intrinsically motivated meant that they had a genuine interest and enjoyment in learning. Now, this group of learners consistently outperformed their peers who lacked the adequate motivation. Let me say this again. A study by one of the most prestigious universities in the world found that students who are intrinsically motivated. What does intrinsic motivation mean? We'll look at the whole concept of motivation as we move along. But students who are intrinsically motivated. Now, if you look at the word intrinsic, it simply means it's inside. So for children whose motivation comes from inside, children whose motivation is spurred from inside. For this group of individuals, the researchers, in this case, Stanford researchers, noticed that there was a consistent outperforming of their peers who needed to be extrinsically motivated to study. Now, one striking example was seen in a group of elementary school students who participated in a science project. Now, those pupils who were intrinsically motivated, now the intrinsic motivation in this case is that those students who were curious, who desired to understand the topic, who completed the concept with a higher quality, they retained the knowledge, they consolidated the knowledge a lot better than people who needed to be spurred, people who needed external factors, people who needed to be told what to do. There was a difference. So, the goal of today's session is to, number one, understand the role of at the academy. We have been committed to sharing strategies with you that can take care of your child's academic journey. Now, Coach made a post yesterday that talked about the fact that parents relinquish total control of their children's academic journey to the schools, removing the influence, forgetting that there is a well-researched concept of parental involvement. So the question now is, and that is the question this session seeks to answer. That question is, what can I do to motivate my child? Now, what can I do to ensure that the motivation my child has goes from extrinsic? What can I do to ensure that the motivation my child has rather goes from extrinsic? It goes from the external favors. It goes from the external triggers to become self-regulated learners. Now, if you are ready to learn the secret, let me see you in the comment section. Right, ready. I am ready to understand what I can begin to do from today to ensure that my 5-year-old, my 10-year-old, my 15-year-old, my 20-year-old goes from extrinsic motivation. If you are here, you will agree with me that a lot of us, to be honest, a lot of us were only motivated to learn when the exam timetable is out. Let me see you with your two hands up in the air. They're like, Precious, you got me. You got me. A lot of us will procrastinate. We will procrastinate until the point the exam timetable flashes. Then you're like, whoa, let's get this ball started. I don't want to throw random figures, yeah, but a good number of learners are like that. Whether it's learners in early years, whether it's learners in primary, or learners in college, or even learners in unis. A lot of these individuals do not, okay, let me not put my early years people because they don't get it, they don't understand it. But let's move from the learners who are a lot more independent. Let's do primary. From primary to the uni. A lot of these individuals do not think, they do not consider the importance of study up until there is an exam facing them. And the truth is that the rules of learning needs enough interaction with the subject matter. So that means that time that they just used to, exam timetable is out, let us do this. That time that they used to, do speed reading, emergency reading, guess what happens? They do not have enough time to interact, to employ the rule of repetition. They do not have enough time to interact with the material that they were supposed to interact with. The number of times that will consolidate learning. Do you see? Now, that is the problem of extrinsic motivation. So, what is motivation, everyone? You've heard me say extrinsic and intrinsic. So, that is the types of motivation that we have. Now, I love what Coach Marybeth said. Team, please let's flash the comments on the screen. Now, I love what Coach Marybeth said. She said it is because of the emphasis of grade, and I totally agree. We'll look at this as we move along. But let's look at why the concept of motivation. Now, motivation as regards learning simply refers to the inner intrinsic drive or desire that compels an individual to engage and participate in educational tasks. The inner drive, the inner desire. I think that is the key word for motivation in learning. Motivation can be factored, the concept of motivation can be factored in a lot of concepts beyond, or rather, a lot of systems beyond learning. Okay, the concept of motivation can be seen in a lot of systems beyond learning. But for the concept of learning, that is, if we are linking motivation with learning, we could say that motivation is the inner drive or the desire that compels individuals to engage and persist in educational tasks. Now, in motivation, we have two types. We have the intrinsic, which is driven by internal factors: curiosity, enjoyment, desire, self motivation, self regulation. That is what drives intrinsic motivation. But external motivation is the weakest form of motivation. Let me say this in the comment section. External, extrinsic motivation is a tool. It can be needed, it can be used to spur learners. But external motivation is the weakest, and intrinsic or internal motivation is the strongest motivation. It is the strongest drive. Why is now when we're looking at intrinsic versus extrinsic? Now, why is intrinsic stronger than extrinsic? The reason is this. Extrinsic, someone said I'm too fast. Guys, we have 45 minutes. We have 45 minutes to cover a lot, but I'm going to take it slowly. I'm going to take it slowly. Now, this is the reason why. Like Coach would always say, the Tuesday life is not enough. The learning style course starts in exactly 8 days. And in the learning style course, we have 4 days with you to break the concept of how your child learns and the tool system strategies that will enable you help your child learn. So if you have not joined the learning style course, the team will be projecting the details on the screen. Please do well to join because the early bird discount ends tonight by 11:49 p.m. So if you've not joined the learning style course, the team will pin the details on the screen, then we'll move along. All right. So we said that extrinsic motivation is the weakest. It is the weakest because it is dependent on external factors. And in cases or in situations where the external factor is not available, this learner would procrastinate, this learner will defer. But what if, for a second, we can move the motivation to get a learner to learn? What if we could move it from extrinsic to intrinsic? That is what the system, or that is the strategy that this session and the tool as well, that this session will share with you. Now, let's look at why learners are unmotivated. The details to register in the learning style course, which is now revised and updated. The curriculum will be released tomorrow, and trust me, you do not want to miss. Now, the mistake a lot of people make when they hear understanding your child's learning style course is that they just think that the course is just to understand learning style. That's not it. And of course, you're going to say, oh, my child is a kinesthetic learner. But how do you employ that knowledge for their learning and your parenting journey? And of course, in the academy, we move beyond the learning styles to study skills, to how to build this motivation. We'll talk about it. We look at study skills, how to identify and deal with learning disabilities. Trust me, the learning style course is one course you do not want to miss. The details can be found on the screen. Please do well to register. Now, let's look at why your child is unmotivated. Why your child has to wait for the exam timetable to study. And trust me, a lot of these concepts around learning can be applied to ourselves as individuals. One of the participants of last year's on learning style course said that the knowledge she got worked. I think about two reviews I saw personally. The knowledge she got from the learning style course was more for her than it was for her kids. Do you see? So some of the knowledge you're going to help would actually help your learning journey, because of course the parenting journey is a learning journey. It is a lifelong learning journey. So this concept and the learning style course will help you as an individual, because of course parenting starts with you before it transcends to your child. Okay, so let's look at why kids can be unmotivated. Number one, lack of relevance. A lot of children struggle to see and identify the relevance and importance of what they are learning to their lives. I was having a conversation with a parent sometime last week. I don't know, I can't remember the trail of thought, but somehow she just asked me, okay, I think it was an assignment her child was given. And she was like, this assignment they gave my child. Do you know that after how many years out of school, I have never used this particular knowledge? And I just laughed. Now, that is just for a parent. A lot of children are also thinking along the same line. And I'm not going to be surprised if a parent here is also thinking along that same line. What is the relevance of Pythagoras' theory to everyday life? This is the reality of what is going on your child's mind. So a child is thinking, after all, after school, I'll become an influencer. After all, after school, I'll become a social media, what's it called? A social media manager or something of that nature. So what do I need school for? So one of this is the lack of relevance. How important is this thing? So if your child is unmotivated, they must be able to see, your child must be able to see the need of what they are learning to their everyday life. They must be able to relate it to their everyday existence, whether the concept that they are learning is important to their everyday life or is not important to their everyday life. They must understand the relevance. That is point number one. Point number two will be the fear of failure. Because of the fear of failure, a lot of children, now, for a lot of children, rather than the fear of failure spoiling them, it actually demotivates them. Because a child who keeps struggling with a concept over and over again will be unmotivated. I did this thing last time, I failed it. Why should I now, why should I now study for this concept? So fear of failure can be one reason why your child is unmotivated. The next point is the lack of self-efficacy and self-confidence. When children do not believe in themselves, when children have the fixed mindset, now the fixed mindset states that intelligence is fixed, it comes from birth. Now, when children are found in this box of a fixed mindset, what happens, and they don't believe in themselves, what happens is that they begin to relinquish the ability to succeed in learning to the people who are high flyers, forgetting that learning is not fixed. Learning is transcendent. What does that mean? It means that if you do the work, you get the prize. So, lack of self confidence and self efficacy is one of the reasons why learners struggle with learning. Another reason why a child is unmotivated is lack of self mastery. You are here and you belong to a particular, along the line, we're going to look at temperament and self-confidence. Let me run along. Do you know that the temperament of your child can affect their motivation? Now, this motivation is not just in learning. This motivation can be in study, can be the way they navigate life, it can be the way they navigate chores. Some temperaments could actually, one of the downsides of temperament, of course, we know that temperaments have their strengths. The inner circle parents will understand it. Temperaments have their strengths, temperaments have the weaknesses. For some children, the weakness of their personality and the weakness of their learning style, or rather their temperament or personality, is that they would lack motivation. and they would need external factors to motivate them. Another factor is that the parents involved, the parents of these children, might want to use fear, threats to motivate that child. Meanwhile, the personality of that child is averse to the trigger you're using to motivate your child. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Personality plays a huge role. Some children, we're going to look at personality as we move on. But if your child is unmotivated, you also want to look at their temperament or their personality. You want to look at the individual makeup of a child. Another reason a child is unmotivated is the learning difficulty. There is no time to delve into that. But trust me, when a child finds it difficult to learn, it could be a major when a child finds it difficult to learn, it could be a major reason why they are demotivated. Let's take, for instance, you move to another country that speaks a dialect different from you, and there is no Google Translate. There is nothing, there's no technology to help you translate what the other people are speaking. How would you feel at that point? Let me ask you this question. I need you to think about it in the in the context of motivation. You move to a country, would you be motivated to interact with the locals? Let me see you respond in the comment section. You move to a terrain, you move to a country, you move to a locality that is different from the language you speak. And there is no technological tool to help you translate, to even understand. What do you think would happen to you? As we wait for your responses in the comment section, this is the same thing that happens to your child. The same thing that happens when a child struggles to understand, when they are neurodivergent and they struggle to understand whether your child has struggles with reading or your child has struggles with understanding arithmetic concept. If a child struggles with any of these things, trust me, do I have people here? Do I have strives? Exactly. It causes a discouragement and withdrawal. This is exactly happens to a child when they do not understand a concept being taught. So if your child is unmotivated, you want to be able to identify if they have any learning disabilities or any learning difficulties. These are both two different concepts. Because if a child has it, like you're responding in the comment section, they will feel lost, they will feel frustrated, and it will be discouraging and cause withdrawal. So these are the major reasons why your child might lack motivation. Now let's look at what we can begin to do to help the child. Let's look at the tools we can begin to look at. Now, the first tool is understanding the relationship between motivation and personality. Now, the concepts of motivation and personality are intertwined. They actually move alongside. If you look at your children, there are children that you will find who, when it gets to an exam, in short, for better case scenario, I remember two of my sisters. I have five sisters. I remember two of my sisters. My mother would always, I remember while growing up this time around, my mother would always complain. So myself and the other of my sister, exam was the trigger throughout secondary school. But the other of my two sisters, there was no trigger. Like they were the picture perfect children. We went to the same school, raised by the same parents, grew up in the same household. But for some of these, my sisters, it was self motivation. In the weekend, they pick up their books, they move to the study, and they're reading. The other of myself and my other sister, we didn't have any motivation. The only motivation was the exam timetable. That's the only motivation. Now, I bet that if you have children in this case who are a lot grown, that you're beginning to see the traits of their personality, you can be able to identify this. And even if it's not just the children, if you're a classroom teacher, you will understand that there are learners in the classroom who come to class and they focus on their focus. While there are also learners who come to the same classroom, the same age range, the same teacher, the same tools being used to teach them, but some would naturally pay attention. And the others would look for, I run the school, so I could tell you, the others would look for every opportunity to be distracted. So what am I saying? Personality plays a huge role in motivation. Personality traits like extroverted individuals who are extroverted, individuals who are perfectionist, individuals who are agreeable, empathic, just open minded, individuals who are social. The motivational drivers for each of these personalities would be different. Now, let's look at the extroverted children, the children who I like to call the life of the party, the children who coach would describe as getting into a space and the whole room revolves around them. Two individuals come into the space. We have the perfectionist, we have the reserved introverted child, and we have the extroverted child. The introverted child gets into a room and finds a corner and just sits down and is observing what's happening. The extroverted child comes and everything happening begins to rotate around them. The way you would motivate the extroverted child, the way you're going to motivate the conscientious perfectionist child, the way you're going to motivate the anything goes agreeable child, the way you're going to motivate the leader child will be different. Now, if you have an extroverted child, because I can see in the comment section, some people are saying I have both personalities in my house. One of the ways you can motivate the extroverted child is to understand how to tactfully use extrinsic motivation. Why? The extroverted child is motivated by extroversion, socialism. They just want to be out there. And a lot of these children who are extroverted, if you're not intentional about your parenting process, would struggle to pay attention. And if you now have an extroverted child who is a kinesthetic learner, that is a gang situation. You now need tools. What are these tools? We'll look at few in this session. In the learning style course coming up from the 27th, we're going to do a deep dive into the session to understand what is the personality of my child and what tools can I lay on the ground to enable this child. Do you understand? So the tools that you would use for your extroverted learner, not the same tool that you will use for your introverted learner. So for your extroverted learner, you might need to work on getting them into a peer mentorship system. For your extroverted learner, you might need to work into getting them into a system of accountability. Why? This child is a social butterfly. They thrive with people. So the motivation could be a friend saying, come, let's go and read. Do you understand? The motivation for your extroverted kinesthetic learner, of course, you could get them to the point of intrinsic motivation. But a lot of these children will start from the extro from getting accountability, putting up accountability systems. Then from there, you've built the discipline, you've built the executive functioning that now enables them to be intrinsically motivated. Now, let's look at our conscientious individuals. Now, these are children who would fall into the melancholic, if we're looking at Tim LaHaye's breakdown of temperaments. These are the children who will form into the melancholic, the perfectionist, the everything must be right, the persistent, the self-disciplined, the self-aware child. Now, these children, one of the ways to motivate them, this crop of children, would be setting goals. Why? Because the truth is that for this crop of learners, which my sister, and I know coach has mentioned that her daughter falls into this crop of learners, trust me, you really don't need so much. All they need is a goal before them. So for this group of children, they are driven by goals. I don't know if you're getting value from this session. Let me see you in the comment section. This group of learners are driven by goals. This group of learners are driven by goals. They are driven by the set goal. there is something I want to reach. Just setting goals. So that means that for this group of learners, you would have to do a lot with goal setting. You have to do a lot with enunciating. You have to do a lot with what's the word now? You have to do a lot with vocabularizing what the target is for this group of learners. So for the conscientious and the melancholic group of learners, all you need to do is to set the goal. Like the Bible says, the goal that is set ahead, they would the Bible says that for the goal that was set ahead of Jesus, he endured the cross. So for this group of learners, for the goal that is then set in front of them or before them, they will endure whatever they need to put into. They will endure whatever it would take to reach that goal. So you have a conscientious, a perfectionist child, you have a goal-driven child. All you need to do is set a goal before them. Of course, that's not all you need to do, but you get what I mean. Just set a goal before them. Goal setting works for every child, but for this child, it is a tool for them. We've talked about saying that the extroverted learners need accountability. They need to be put into a social system. They have to be put into a system where they get stimulation from external sources. They enjoy collaboration. So this child, you help them get into systems of accountability. Then for the conscientious child, we work on their goal setting. We set a goal before them and provide the tool that enables them to run towards that goal that has been set. I hope you're getting value. The next group of learners would be the group of learners who are strong-willed. Learners who would fall under the choleric. These learners love novelty. They love innovation. They are driven by curiosity. They are driven by the next. Now, this group of learners are easily bored. They are the learners that love teachers who are very kinesthetic in their teaching. They want to see. They saw this thing yesterday. I've seen this thing yesterday. Show me another. So these learners love novelty. They want to see new things. So if you have this group of children, you know that you want their learning process to be innovative. You want to teach them how to use mind maps. You want to teach them how to highlight. You want to teach them how to annotate. You want to teach, do you understand? For this group of learners, they get bored easily. They are a lot more strong-willed. They are moved there. You've done this before. Let's get it over and done with. What is it? So you even need to work with their teachers to ensure that learning for them is not the same crop of we did this thing today, we've done this thing tomorrow, let's move on. Do you understand? These learners don't keep us in a place. They are the learners who are on the move, if you permit me to use that. Then we have the learners who will form under the agreeable, empathetic group of learners who just want peace. They want peace. They want peace. They don't want trouble. They want peace. For this group of learners, you would need to also understand this group of learners fall in under the extroverts. Sanguines and phlegmatics fall under the extroverts, and cholerics and melancholics fall under the introverts. So for this group of learners, you will need to use tools. You would need to intentionally employ extrinsic motivation while you work towards intrinsic motivation. The intrinsic motivation for these learners will be dependent on your parenting skills, because this group of learners or individuals will tend to be a lot more laid back than the average person. So we've talked about the conscientious child who, there's something set before them. We've talked about the choleric child who always wants something new. This group of learners, you could give them the same thing over and over again. They'll just take it and regurgitate. They lack that internal push. If you are a phlegmatic here, you understand what I mean. So that means that a parent in this case will have to intentionally employ extrinsic motivation tools on your way. Parents in this case would need to employ extrinsic motivation tools on your way to building their self-regulation. Do you understand? Now, the next thing you can do to intrinsically motivate your child is to equip them with study skills. Remember that we mentioned that one of the reasons why children lack motivation is lack of self-efficacy. Another one can be overwhelm, distraction, an overwhelming workload. Let me see what we're saying in the comment section. Jenny says, that's my gang, peace gang. Yes. Under which category will the child fall if they are easily distracted? So there is no temperament that we could easily say that they are easily distracted. The concepts and the science of focus and attention affects every temperament. But but there are reasons to join the learning style course. There are concepts like our inner circle members, there are concepts that you already understand. This child that you're saying might be um this child that you're saying that is easily distracted might just fall within a specific attention span developmentally, but you're expecting a lot more. Now, the quick maths for attention span is 2 times 3x of the child's age. So if you have a 2-year-old, we're looking at 6 to 8 minutes for the attention span. So you can have a 3-year-old and you want them to sit for 20 minutes. Mommy, daddy, what exactly do you want? Do you understand? We also have other factors, could be nutrition. So there are temperaments that might be because of how extroverted they are. And of course, there are learning styles that could be that if you use the tools that are needed for them, they will thrive. If you use the tools needed for them, they will thrive. So it's actually the parenting systems you put in place. So to answer that question, no, there is no particular learning style. Some of them might want to do things. There are some of them might want to do things that keep them on the move, like kinesthetic learners, but it doesn't mean that it's their temperament that is triggering it. The concept and the science of focus and attention, we looked at that in our back to school masterclass. You want to understand it, you could check the back to school masterclass. All right, so let's look at equipping your child with study skills. Study skills are very important. Study skills are important for every child and for every learning for every child, every personality, every age group, every learning style. On day 3 of the learning style course, the details will be on your screen shortly. On day 3 of that class, we will love, as in, we will zoom into the science of study skills, and you can understand how this can change the game for you as an individual, as it is changing the game for your child as well. So, what are the study skills that your child can employ? Number one, spaced repetition. Let me see us in the comment section. Spaced repetition. Now, what does spaced repetition mean? It simply involves that a lot of children, because that they are motivated by exams and there is a timetable, there is a deadline, they are on their feet trying to hit a particular goal, they tend to want to cram all the information available at once. So what happens in this scenario? They do all the cramming, they try to cram, and when they get to the exam hall, when they want to regurgitate, like, I don't know this coach that says something like la cram, la pour. Like, you cram, you get to the exam, you pour, you move on. When a child studies by just cramming, speech repetition is there is no time. Now, there is something that happens in the brain. I was studying the neuroscience of retention, and it states that a lot of times when an individual has studied a material for a while, it takes the brain a period of deep sleep for that information that you got to consolidate. So let's assume that if you're here, you've experienced it. You've taken your time, you've studied the material over, you've done it, you've studied, but it just didn't hook. Then you just fall asleep. Then you wake up again and you find that, wow, this thing I just learned, I can remember it. This thing I just learned, like, it becomes easier than it was before I slept. That is the beauty of spaced repetition. Before an knowledge is consolidated, the repetition in the memory must be constant. You can't space repeat if you're reading just for an exam now. It's not possible. So one study skill learners must learn must be spaced repetition. Spaced repetition, you sit down with a concept. Let's say that there are 13 weeks in an average term for primary secondary education, and a child starts by week one to space repeat, study the concept, interact with the concept before they get into the examination hall. It has been consolidated. But exam timetable comes on a Monday, and the next thing you find is that everybody's doing, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You've not given your brain enough time to repeat the material. So space repetition is important. What do you do for a child, especially for learners who need that extrinsic motivation? Set a timetable. Set a timetable, set a schedule that incorporates regular review session. What this will do is that it reinforces learning and enhances long-term retention. It reinforces learning and enhances long-term retention. The next study skill, I'm just going to look at a few study skills, so we'll move to the next concept because we're running out of time. But trust me, in the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course, we are actually going to sit and break down. You see, I'm running because there's a lot to cover. But in the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course, coach will sit and the other facilitators we will sit and break the concept of learning in such a way that it even liberates you before it liberates your child. Because let us not forget that children will imitate what you do rather than what you ask them to do. So please, the Learning Style course team, let's pop up the details on the screen. You do not want to miss it. Tomorrow, the curriculum will be out, and it is a totally different thing from what you got last year. The value you are about to get in this course, trust me, you will owe the academy loads of reviews and testimonials after that course. The details are in the comment section. The price slot for 10,500 naira ends tonight by 11:59 p.m. It ends tonight by 11:59 p.m. Once the clock strikes 12, the price will move up to 15,500. Yadas, the same applies to you. The time for your Yada discount is going to end soon. So if you want to jump on board the learning style course, you want to do that today. This is a revolution. See, I want to bite my tongue. This is a revolutionary course for everyone in the academy and everyone outside the academy as well. Rebecca said that study skills has helped my sanguine son who is easily distracted. Look, the skills you're going to learn. If you have a child who is easily distracted, you have a child who always forgets, we're going to show you study skills that will enable you. Look, the testimonials we have from this course are too numerous to mention. The next thing you should do is to utilize multi-sensory approaches. We already understand that we have different learning strengths. We have different intelligences according to Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. We also have different learning styles. So this means that learning is not a one size fits all approach. It was, I think, one of the great philosophers, I can't remember right, I think Thomas Edison, that said that if you judge a fish by its ability to fly, it would spend its whole life as though it were an idiot. Let me say this again. If you judge a fish by its ability to fly, or you judge a bird by its ability to swim, it will spend its whole life thinking it were an idiot. Meanwhile, this bird is a chief flyer, and this fish is an expert swimmer. But because they are being put in a different landscape where their strength is not emphasized, where the condition is not enough to work on their strength or to enable them exhibit their strength, that individual or that animal, in this case the bird and the fish, will spend their whole life thinking it, we're an idiot. This bird is going to say, I can fly so high, but this small swimming, I can't swim. And the fish is going to be like, I can swim like a fish that I am, but this small flying, I can't even move up. Do you understand? Multi-sensory approach of learning is a revolutionary study skill that learners must understand. In fact, you don't even have to wait for the learning style course. The team will be sharing the free taster module. Now, the free taster module looks at our amazing module from the learning style course of previous years. It looks at how your child learns. So if you're here and you've not joined the learning style course, but you're trying to understand, okay, what multisensory approach can I use for my child who learns by seeing? Okay, from the courses, from the materials, from the free guides, I've been able to identify that my child is a kinesthetic learner. I have been able to identify that my child is a visual or my child is an auditory learner. What multisensory approach can I now use for this child? Guys, oh my God, this is the point where we give coach the fire emojis. You do not need to wait for the learning style course, because at the academy, we are passionate about your transformation in your parenting journey. So the team would share about the free taster module. It's just about 45 minutes. It's just about 45 minutes, but you can understand the multi-sensory approach that you can use to help, whether it's your visual learner, your kinesthetic learner, and your auditory learner. I'm not going to delve into the what's it called? I'm not going to delve into the tools right now. Time would fail me. But please take that data model. The details will be shared in right immediately after the session. The team will share the taster module. Please just sit down for the next 45 minutes with your pen and paper. That is not a free Tuesday life. It's actually a module that we picked from the learning style course that shows you not just how to identify your child's learning style, but also the multisensory approach you could use to enable them learn. Thank you, Augusta. Thank you, Ronke, for that feedback. The next and the last study skill, look, in the learning style course, we're going to look at a lot more. We're even going to break down these study skills developmentally. So we're looking at how to help children focus. We're going to look at how to help children pay attention. We're going to look at different study skills for each age group. So it's been divided to 1 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and 15 to adulthood. Let me share this personal story of what understanding study skills helped me do. When I got into the uni, I got in with the same habit of what's it called? I got in with the same habit of secondary school. We read when exam wants to start. So my first year, first semester, and second semester, I was fooling around literally until I met someone who taught me about study skills. And my CGPA went from the gutters to a 4 point something in my second, third, and fourth year. For the fact that I didn't have a C after the moment I learned about study skills. So that is why I am passionate about getting children to actually understand that learning is not just reading. There are secrets. There are secrets that can transform everything for your child. The last study skill I'm going to look at is practice retrieval. Now, what is practice retrieval? Practice retrieval involves actively retrieving information from your memory through testing and self-quizzes. Now, this it's the concept or the theory of active retrieval that mock exams emphasize on. You would find out that a lot of major exams that learners take, you will see exam past questions, you see mock examination, you will see trial tests. It's the concept or these piggy banks on the concept of practice retrieval. What this does for you is that it helps strengthen the memory retrieval, and doing this enhances long-term memory. Now, I'm in the academic space, and you find that For the subject that I'm a professional in, I practically do not need, personally, and practically do not need any lesson notes. I do not need any lesson plan to teach it. It's not because I'm a genius. Do you remember? I asked this question during the back to school masterclass. I'm going to ask the question. Do you remember any teacher who you were amazed at, primarily because of the fact that this teacher never came into the classroom with any notebooks? Do you remember any teacher of such sort? Even teacher, lecturer, facilitator. That is why pastors have the scriptures up at. Practice retrieval. You listen to pastors preach and they are putting out the scripture like professors. What happens? They are simply using the concept and the theory of practice retrieval. The very fact that they've looked at this scripture today, they come back to preach tomorrow, they use almost the same scripture, they come back to preach the next day. By the time they've done it for 10 years, they no longer have to, they quote the scriptures, and so they don't have to wait for their media department. They've said the scripture, they've quoted the scripture. This is the same thing that happens for our lead coach. I mean, the team, and I can tell you that coach, I always am amazed how coach does the Tuesday lives. I'm not going to go into our inside intricacies, but I am always amazed. Why? Coach comes on a Tuesday live, and there's almost no note. Practice retrieval. What she's done for 6 years, she almost doesn't need any material to do it. This is simply a way you can tap into your child's genius state. Practice retrieval. Whatever concept that they are studying, let them do these two things. Ask questions, do repetitive tests. Another thing you can do, or another thing you should do, is to get them to assume the role of a teacher. So when they learn a concept, they come back to teach you. This is where peer mentorship is beautiful and collaborative learning, because the child comes and takes the part or takes the role of the teacher. And what happens in this case? What the child does, as they try to teach each other, they try to remember, they get into their memory, they are picking it out, they are trying to demystify it and break it down in such a way that would enable them teach it to another person. After that session, trust me, after that session, that child has learned it. This is the power of peer mentorship, and this is the power of collaborative learning, where children are exchanging knowledge, where learners are exchanging knowledge. This simply taps into the factor of practice retrieval. Dr. Happiness says that study group was my cheat code in the university. This is it's amazing. It is amazing, guys. It's amazing. It is amazing. We've come almost to the end of the session, but let me quickly run through a couple of other ways that you can motivate your child in the learning style course. Someone is saying, I need help, oh, I am phlegmatic, and my child is sanguine. Join the learning style course. Oh, what are the multisensory approach? Join the learning style course. Hey, my child is blah, 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 blah. Join the learning style course. The learning style course is your cheat code. The learning style course is your cheat code. You do not want to miss this course, guys. You do not want, but I dislike study group, your individual preference. Your individual preference, there are other learning study skills that you could use. There are other, guys, learning style course is the this thing. Let me know. I won't say learning, I won't go there again. But trust me, we are going to break all of these down in the learning style course. So you understand that practice retrieval is just, now you don't even need study group alone to use the concept of practice retrieval. There are other scenarios. We'll look at that during the learning style course. During the learning style course, we'll sit down, calm down, and break it down one after the other. The next would be to create a supportive environment. One of the reason why your child is unmotivated towards learning is primarily because is they lack a supportive environment, whether it's at home or in school. During the learning style course, we'll look at how to create a supportive home environment. The next one would be to intentionally foster the growth mindset. And one of the ways that you can foster the growth mindset would be by emphasizing on effort rather than grades. One of the ways that you could help your child build their growth mindset is you as the parent in creating the supportive home environment. One of the ways you could do this is to emphasize, let me see us in the comment section, on effort, effort rather than grades. One of the reasons why your child is demotivated is because all we're talking about is you did not take first. That is why I wish that there will be an innovation for the grading system. A parent was asking me today, why don't we grade kindergarteners like early years pupils? And I sat her down and I took her on a whole journey. And I don't have time to take today, but I took her on a whole journey why it is a waste of time. Why we label children by just putting grades at such formative stage. To motivate your child, we would need to shift our praises. We would need to shift our reinforcement from we would need to shift our praises, we would need to shift our reinforcement from focusing on the grades. You got an 80% in maths, you got a 70%, you got a 99.999999910 in maths. We need to move. Is it important? Will it come in once in a while? Yes. But we would need to move from the effort a child puts in. A child could put in 100% effort and come up with an 80% score mark. And another child puts in 40% effort and comes out with a 99.9 score mark. Examination is not true test of knowledge. Coach would always say this. So one of the ways that you are demotivating your child is just by checking the what did you get? What did you get? Have you looked at a child could score less, but actually put in more work? And just by intentionally focusing on the effort, the result will show the next time they are graded. But by the time a child puts an effort and you don't see the commensurate grades that you are expecting, guess what happens? You criticize, you demotivate. So instead of them to continue putting the same efforts, guess what that child does? The one I did, were they not even shouting at me, or were they not even talking to me anyhow? Nobody even recognized it. That is why I would applaud, always applaud schools who actually measure the amount of improvement and the amount of effort. So as we grade children for cognitive as we grade children for cognitive scoring, as we grade children for cognitive prowess, let's also look at the effort prowess. Let's also look at the attention. Let's also look at the emotional commitment that the learner also put in. With this very, very, very few words of mine, I hope I've been able to convince you and not to confuse you that you can from today begin to put up tools and strategies that can intrinsically motivate your child. There's a little I can do in an hour, but in the learning style course with an accumulation of over 6 hours and supporting the group, we will take you on a step by step approach. After this learning style course, your child's academic journey will take a turn. It has changed lives over the past 6 years. Your child won't be the difference. The detail is showing on the screen. The early bird discount of 10,500 ends by 11:59 p.m. today. As soon as the clock strikes 12, guys, we move. We move to 15,500. And the same applies for YADAs. You're going to be announced when your YADA discount ends. So if you have not come on board, please take a screenshot of the details on the screen. The team would also be sharing the free module we talked about. So for some reason, you can just look at the free module and understand the multi-sensory approach that you can use for your child. As we wrap this up, thank you for the feedback in the comment section. Let me see one thing that you're taking from this session. Just one thing. Let me see one thing. Practice retrieval. Yes, it's a way of Winifred is saying, team, please let us pin that on the screen. Winifred's question. So she's saying, is practice retrieval the same thing as revising with your children? Yes. It's on the principle of practice retrieval that revision is anchored off of. If you have any questions, I could take the next 5 minutes to provide concept to you. I'm seeing Blessing Abigail say, be a supportive parent, get involved. Yes, 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 yes. So we're going to take the next couple of minutes to answer your questions. Let me see one thing you're going with that you will begin to do. Create a supportive environment for learning. Thank you, Adugo. Adeleke Damola says, which would focus on efforts and not results. Mercy says she's going to create a supportive environment. Do you have any questions concerning the learning style course? The team is here to provide all the support you need. Do you have any more questions concerning the learning style course? Please send the chat to 0903 66 33 600. 0903 66 33 600. Focus on practice retrieval. Ensure spaced repetition. Focus on the growth mindset. Thank you very much for your time so far. We look forward to seeing you in the Understanding Your Child's Learning Style course, where we can actually sit with you. There's a difference between a Tuesday Live and a course where we're taking it module by module, step by step, ensuring that you get to the desired result. Thank you very much, and do have a lovely afternoon. God bless you. Bye, guys.